Are you sick and tired of letting worry take over your life? Watch this video for this easy tool that you can start practicing right away. Hey there, if you're new around here, my name is Diana Garcia. I'm a licensed therapist in Florida and owner of a private practice called Nurturing Minds Counseling. Hit that subscribe button now to get more tools and tips to improve your mental health, manage worry, anxiety, things like that. All right, let's jump into this week's video. So the tool I'm going to go over is called the worry tree. It's commonly used for individuals that struggle with worrying, commonly with generalized anxiety disorder, but even if you don't have generalized anxiety disorder, if you are prone to worrying and letting that go, this is a really helpful tool for you. I had a version, I've slightly adapted it to be a little bit more congruent to how I explain it with my clients, but either way, let's jump in. I'm going to just first show you like the completed worry tree and what we're going to go through. And then I'm going to go through step by step explaining some different things. But if you just want this screenshot, you can literally just take a screenshot here of it. If you prefer to actually get a downloadable version, you can look at the description below to see how to do that, whatever is easier for you. Let's start off with the top, right? So the first thing is just noticing that you're worrying. So it's really helpful before you even do anything about your worry or intervene in any way, you have to notice that you're getting kind of caught or stuck by it. A lot of times you'll just instinctively know because you know you've been like thinking about this over and over again. Maybe you've talked about it or with different people. Maybe you can just tell by the time span of like how long this has been kind of consuming internal energy. It's also helpful to just think about like the impact it's maybe having on just your overall well-being. Like, are you more irritable? Is it something that you just notice like every single night when you try to go to sleep, it just comes up again? Or when you wake up, it's the first thing you think about. Either way, so the first step is just noticing that you're worrying, right? That one is just something you're going to have to practice getting really good at. The next step is you're going to start to ask yourself, what am I worrying about? So you can get as detailed as you want or as brief, just to kind of have a general sense of like, what is the current issue that's causing you distress? And there might be a lot of things currently causing you distress, but in this, I just want you to pick one and then we'll go through the worry tree and then you can do this worry tree for the next worry, right? Whether it's a worry that you're still having, another worry currently going on, or a worry in the future. But either way, kind of ask yourself and think through what is the current situation that's causing you distress. This is a current problem or a hypothetical problem. And so hypothetical could be something that's going to happen in the future. You're just thinking about it. Sometimes it's helpful to just think about this as a current problem or future-oriented problem. Also, I like to even ask, is this a solvable problem right now? Is this something that you can actually do something about? The answer to this question is no, right? It's not a current problem and it's not a solvable problem. Then you'd start to go into the no direction hypothetical path. So then this is really where the next step would be accept that this is currently out of your control. So this is more kind of like internal, you acknowledging if it's a hypothetical problem or a future-oriented problem that's not solvable at this point, there's nothing you can do about it, then you really need to accept that it's out of your control. And then if we move to the next step in this kind of track, it would be also acknowledging or making room for the discomfort. And I added this a little bit because clearly the fact that you're worrying about it and you keep thinking about it, to me, usually indicates a couple different things. Clearly, this is something that's important to you. So it's like not like you can just let it go, right? Or people just say, stop worrying, let it go. If only it were that easy. So I want you to also acknowledge that you're going to have to make some room for whatever distress comes. Commonly with clients that worry, I see a lot of difficulties with the uncertainty or being in the limbo or the not knowing or the grayness of certain situations. And that's what feels really difficult, like that uncertainty and sitting with it. And so again, I would encourage you to practice making room for that and any tension or like internal experience that comes with that. And then again, if you look at the next step in that, it would be taking it a step further and like practicing any skills that's going to help you come back to the present moment. Especially when we're dealing with like uncertainty, not knowing, and future-oriented hypothetical situations, it's really helpful to ground yourself back in this moment and using any skills that you have in your toolbox to help you do that, right? Any breathing exercising, grounding exercises. You can check out my mindfulness playlist for some potential things that you could do as well. But again, anything like noticing sounds, just like reminding yourself that here you are in this moment on December, yada, 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 at this moment, like this situation isn't happening. So I have to make room, like, let me come back. In this moment, it's not happening. So I find this really helpful to figure out a way to come back to the present moment. And then the last step in this would be redirecting your attention or re-engaging sometimes I say re-engaging, right? So like coming back to whatever it was you were doing before the worry got you all stuck or caught away, or intentionally refocusing your attention and energy on something else that feels meaningful. And not in a way of like, I'm like trying to ignore this worry. It feels very subtle, but it's like you've already noticed it, you've already done something with it, you've gone through this process. And so now, and you're making room for whatever internal discomfort you need. So redirect your attention and focus. Because a lot of times when I think of the difficulties with worry, what gets people stuck, it's that worry constantly takes away your attention. It's like, I always kind of use this like with my hands. It's like you're being constantly pulled away from what you're trying to focus on. And so re-practicing that skill, redirecting your attention and focus on where you want it to be. Now let's look like if we go to the other one, right? So if it is a current problem, yes, and it is solvable, so yes, then we'd go down that path. And so if you look through that, it's first starting off with like creating an action plan, right? So you want to use this worry and like redirect it in a way that's helpful. And I always tell clients, like sometimes worrying is helpful. And that's what can be the tricky part about worrying. Like there is a part of it that can serve you well if you can channel it, but you need to channel it and at some point accept a limitation. So as we go through this, you'll see that. And so if you look at it, it's like, okay, create an action plan, whatever that means or looks like with this worry. So what is it that you have to do? What are the steps? When? How? Right? Like kind of really get into the nitty gritty of like, what is the action plan that you actually have to do to solve this problem? Are there any pieces of information that you're missing? Do you need more information? Do you need to talk to people? Whatever the case is. So kind of figure that out, what that would look like. And then when you're doing that, the what, when, how, if it's something that you can do now, right, then you're going to follow that path of like, okay, great, you're going to commit and do it. Like, or so really do that committed action and do it and like take the action and channel this worry in a helpful way, in a way that feels like it's moving you forward in your life. And once you've done that, whatever action that is, you're going to acknowledge that you've already taken action. So anything that was in your control, you've already done it. And so that's really helpful to like remind yourself during this path with this worry, you follow the worry through, you've finished that, right? So you can close that worry off to a certain degree. And then we're going to, again, go back to refocus your attention and energy to something else, right? So once you've like kind of turned the page a little bit because you've finished, right? You've crossed off that worry off the list. And if you are prone to worrying, what typically happens, I notice like something else will come and you start to worry again, and you can practice this again. But just re-acknowledging like, okay, you've kind of moved through that. If the answer is that later, you can't do anything about this now, once you've come up with an action plan, but it's not something you can do in this exact moment for whatever reason, then just schedule it out, whatever that looks like, whether you need to be very specific and like pulling up your calendar and saying, okay, I'm going to do this on, in a week when I have time or whatever the case is. Or if I'm missing information, I'm going to schedule that, right? Schedule that piece of information that I need so that I know that that's what's going to help me close this loop on this worry. So whatever the case is, you're going to schedule it, and then you're going to remind yourself, try to take comfort in the fact that, okay, it's on your schedule, right? So when this worry comes up, you're going to acknowledge it and notice it. Thank you, mind, again, for reminding me about this thing that I know it's important. And it's already on my schedule. See, we both see it, so we're good. And again, you're going to redirect your attention to something else. Hit that like button now to let me know that you're going to go through this worry tree, follow it through, finish it off so that you can potentially turn the page on these worries and stop letting them consume so much time and energy in your life. All right, guys, as always, I hope this video was helpful, and I hope you continue to find ways to nurture your mind, body, and soul, whatever that looks like for you. Thanks, guys.